This demonstration is designed to instruct you on using Metastock software and accompanying plugins. It is not a recommendation to buy or sell exchange-traded instruments, but rather guidelines to interpreting and using specific indicators and features within the software. The information, software, and techniques presented should only be used by investors who are aware of the risk inherent in trading. Thomson Reuters shall have no liability for any investment decisions based on the use of their software, any trading strategies, or any information provided in connection with the company.
Hello, everybody. This is Price Headley, and sorry about that little audio blip there. Jeff giving you a little overview about me and BigTrends.com, and certainly it's been a pleasure to work with Jeff and Metastock and the entire team over there, Kelly and everybody else, do a great job bringing in these events and really putting out great innovations in software. So, my goal tonight is to share with you my favorite indicators to find the big trends. Obviously, I named it BigTrends.com back in '99 for a reason, back when everybody was day trading. And I was saying, hey, why day trade only when you can make money over multiple days, multiple weeks, where the opportunity is? Yeah, sometimes the opportunities hit all in a day in these volatile markets, but sometimes it takes a little bit more time. And if the trend is your friend, then your job is to identify the trend and then how you can ride it while still managing your risk. So that's what we're going to really focus on because that's really, really vital here. So one of the things that we partnered with Metastock to put out here in the last couple of years is the Big Trends Toolkit. We call it BTTK. And BTTK is just an acronym for Big Trends Toolkit. The idea being that literally I took methods that I found to be the best of the best, and I really focused it on, okay, how can we bring that into one complete package? And I'll scratch the surface a little bit today of some of the indicators, some of the tools. Can't give it all away, of course, and I can start to show you the power of it. But literally, you start to see, and this is just a drop down from all of the typical add-in toolkits that Metastock offers. So you can see there's literally over a dozen different tools that are at your disposal in the Big Trends Toolkit. So we'll allude to that, and we'll share with you some of that. Can't go into all of it here tonight, but I can start to give you a taste of how powerful this is, and it's very, very economical because you all know the power of a good trade in your portfolio as well as the power of missing a bad trade. And both of those add up dramatically, and that's what these indicators are geared to do, is to help you find more good trades and get rid of those bad trades. You can't get rid of all of them. We're not perfectionists, but the reality is we can filter out a lot of the noise and get you focused on the best of the best situations. So one of the first ones we're going to talk about tonight is acceleration bands. Back in the early 90s when I was looking at the various band concepts, John Bollinger had his Bollinger Bands, which I think are very useful in trading range markets. Talked to other people that looked at Keltner channels and all kinds of other different types of envelopes, like moving average envelopes. But really, I found I needed something that can stick with the bigger trends, because really, when you boil it all down, when you're trading, it's all about acceleration, isn't it? You want to have big acceleration in a relatively short period of time, and especially if you trade vehicles like options like I do, it's about the speed of movement. Now, it's not just about getting a slow grinding trend, because I'm sure a lot of you, if you've traded options, have had the experience where you bought the option, the call option, you thought the stock was going to go up. You were right. The stock did kind of grind higher, but your option lost because the time decay ate into it and the stock didn't move fast enough with enough speed to overcome the loss of time. So we need that speed of movement. Plus, of course, even if you're just trading stocks or ETFs or even Forex, regardless of the vehicle, you want to be able to get your targets, lock down your money, and then do it all over again. And the more times you can do that, the better off you are. Now, when like a lot of you started trading with moving averages, but I noticed that the best stocks, the ones that I really wanted to be on, back in the early 90s, it was the Cisco, Microsoft, Walmart, believe it or not, in the early 90s was a growth stock, Home Depot, International Game Technology in the gaming sector. These were the stocks that just kept going and going and were not coming back to test those same moving averages. They would go literally more parabolic. So I started to test all these different kinds of adaptive bands. I looked at Bollinger Bands. I looked at all these other ones I mentioned. And I found that most of them were very reactive to, spikes in the stock. I needed something that was going to adjust, but not adjust too much. And that's when I developed the concept of my acceleration band, saying, okay, we want to pick up when it's generally held in check by 95% of the price action. But guess what that means? It actually means that if 95% of the action is in those stocks, I actually prefer to trade the other 5% of the events outside of the bands. And I have some charts here that are actually a little bit over the last couple of years. So I apologize for the fact that I didn't have any updated charts, because they're actually, I just couldn't get my program to work in time to get some updates in there for you. But go apply these techniques to the current markets. You'll be amazed how well they work, not just on the daily chart, but also on the intraday chart. This was USO, the ETF that tracks oil prices, back in the first half of '08. And so first half of '08, and with Metastock, Eva asked me on the side, does the Metastock have option charts? You can actually plot option charts. You just have to plug it in as to what options you want to track, and then Metastock, at least on their intraday version, the professional version, will start to bring that data in for you to be able to track it on these various indicators. So what am I looking for here? Well, you can see these are my acceleration bands. The middle band is actually just, the middle line is just a simple 20-day moving average. There's nothing fancy about that middle line. But these acceleration bands factor in not just standard deviation like a Bollinger would, but they also factor in the price trend. So my rule of thumb is if I can get two closes, not one close, but actually two closes in a row outside of that band, then indeed I've got a bullish opportunity here. And so what I look for is just that, that type of a two closes outside of the band. Thank you very much. You can see we got that back here about $78, and it trailed on up here up to about a 10% rally in USO over the next roughly 3.5 weeks. And so, that's an example where we're kind of looking for the acceleration band to be that first thrust point. It's like the space shuttle takeoff. You've got to get enough rocket fuel and enough power to launch that thing into orbit to get it away from Earth's gravity. It's the same thing for a stock or an ETF or a Forex vehicle, that it's got to get enough of a thrust on that first move. Then we'll show you how we start to trail that stop, how we start to ride that trend, where do we tighten our stop, so that one bar, like this little bar that you see happening here back in early March of that year, does not knock us out of that trade if the other key indicators are holding as they should be. Now, if it's too steep of a drop, like we see coming here back in mid-March, that's giving us an exit. And you can see we kind of chop around for another month. Now, by definition, with an acceleration band, especially in an uptrend, for example, when I get my next acceleration upside signal, it should happen at a higher level. Because the idea is that, you're going to be missing the dead zones, but by the time it breaks out of a generally uptrending band, you can see that it's coming at a higher level. That should not bother you. In fact, you should be happy for that, because if you're trading leverage vehicles like options or Forex, for example, that you just want to be in for what I call the sweet spot of the trend. You don't want to be messing around with the dead random noise part of the trend. Randomness is your enemy as a trader. Your job is to get an edge. I believe these acceleration bands give me a significant edge. That trade, by the time it was signaled out, gave us a small profit. Then we got a really nice move coming in USO, that third trade. And you don't know, by definition, which one's going to be the big home run and which one's going to be the small to mid-sized loss. That's part of the game of trading, is saying, look, we have to be able to be flexible and be able to take our signals when we get them. Now, you see this next one, we try to go above that band, but the second close back inside the band nullifies that, X's it out. You can see even when we were making a new high back on USO, back here on the left side of the chart, that you see we actually saw no breakout. So what's happening there? The trend is going up, but it's going up at a slower rate of pace. So that's what you're looking at. So Ron asked, did I knock it out on the close inside the band on the third buy? The band, remember, is my starting point. The band is my entry. The band actually in this chart is not my exit. It's just like that thrust indicator I was talking about. I use some other trailing stops